Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, John G. Williams. Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bravery Within. Today I'd like to talk about something that actually I've had a couple questions on in this short run of being on a podcast and stuff there. And a couple people have come and asked me if I know anything about the weight loss surgery and for folks that are considering it. One thing that I'm really lucky about is I have a really good friend, a close friend. We've been friends for over a decade, and she has actually went through the whole process over the past couple years. She's been going down this very long road, and to be very honest and stuff there, before I started my own weight loss journey and things there, I actually knew of a couple people that have actually went down this road and got the surgery. And I always thought in the back of my mind and stuff there that, wow, you're taking the easy way out. You're not actually trying to work for it. It's all being given to you by, going in for a surgery. All of a sudden, poof, 200 pounds lighter, and then the world is all great, and now we're kind of in a big old happy movie with a happy ending. I have to admit, 2 years down this road with my friend Rebecca, she has absolutely changed my mind about surgery. I have to admit, I had no idea the commitment, the work, everything that's entailed into going through weight loss surgery. I honestly don't even know how to even tell you how complicated, how dedicated she is. She's been to this, how much she has went through. It's not just a matter of the eating part. It's not a matter of the losing part there. I mean, it's like everything that we've talked about in the podcast is it all comes down to mental. She's incredibly strong. I think she's gotten stronger through this whole process. It's been very enlightening. I have to admit that there, just seeing her go through that stuff. And honestly, she helped inspire me to finally kick over and do my own weight loss. So I did consider, before we get started and stuff there, I did actually consider going in and doing the same thing she did and getting the surgery. I just, after weighing all the options and everything else, I decided not to. So before we get going too far into this, because she is actually here today, and that's one thing that I think is going to make this episode so special is I've had people ask me about the surgery, and now I have somebody that's sitting right next to me that has firsthand experience. So she is going to talk about the travel, the road, the ups, the downs, everything about it and stuff there. It's an incredible journey she's been on. So it's one that I think that needs to be told. So if you're thinking about going down this road, if there's any episode that you're going to listen to, I think this is probably going to be the most important one. You're going to want to tune in. I'm hoping that when this is all done, it'll spark some more questions. Remember, you can email them in to us. I'll make sure that I talk to Rebecca, get her 2 cents worth on everything there. We'll weigh everything in. But also remember, this is from our personal, basically, point of view. This is not doctor recommended. It's not nurses. I don't have anybody official sitting here with me, but I have somebody that's actually been through it, and to me that means more than anything else. The couple things that we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about today is if you are considering the surgery to help take off the weight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up some pros and some cons, some of the things that I learned about while considering this before going down the weight loss journey that I have. Then we're going to have the interview with Rebecca. I got a few questions for her that I'd like to ask her and stuff there. So she will bring up some answers and stuff there. I actually have been asked by a couple people about this, so it'll be really interesting. And I'm hoping that you will be listening to this podcast so you can hear firsthand from somebody that's actually went through it. And I don't know if we'll have time for this third thing there, but it's I think we're going to end up running over in time. But I have a third topic I wanted to talk about was basically respecting protecting yourself, learning how to put yourself first from time to time. It's not called conceited or anything like that there. And I know that I'm not the best one to be saying it, but one thing that I want to do is, while I'm talking to you folks and stuff there, is it's helping me through this stuff. I'm seeing things from a different perspective. It's pretty interesting. So I don't know if we'll have time for it, so please forgive me. And if we don't, I'll bring it up in another podcast as we roll down the road and stuff there. But one thing that I wanted to, before we get started on anything, I ran into a gentleman here about a week ago at my favorite convenience store. And I was talking to the folks that were working at the deli and stuff there. They're fantastic and stuff. And as I was going to leave and stuff there was a gentleman that approached me because he heard me talking about, basically being upbeat, very positive and stuff there. And of course, it's 6:30 in the morning. So it's, I know a lot of people when they wake up, they're not really big on, having somebody that's cheerful and things. But I was just trying to, the people had a bad day already. I mean, it's 6:30 in the morning and they've already had some rough customers come through. So I was just talking with them and trying to, bring up their spirits and everything else. And this guy approached me and said basically I needed to get a life and I needed to grow up. I'm too positive and it was just bothering him. And I said, okay, sir, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. I said, I'm just always trying to find the positives, because we all have rough times. We all go through so much through life. I was just trying to find something positive to help those folks out. And then when he told me that I needed to grow up and get a life, I said, okay, well, I don't know what's bugging you about it. And I said, I'm sorry. What can I do to help? He said, well, there's a lot of bad things happening in this world and there's so much, just negativity. And it's like, okay, yeah, there's no doubt about that one there. I mean, I understand, but I don't know why you're upset with me. And he said, he said, can't you just be a realist? Can't you just be, somebody there to talk to? And I said, well, okay, let me put it to you this way. The way I was raised, I said, you got basically two steps in life. You can either be a glass half full or a glass half empty. And I said, you're unfortunately probably a glass half empty. And I'm very sorry for that because it's kind of a rough way to look at life. I said, I try to look at everything as a glass half full, if not full, because there's so much negativity. I said, the way I was raised, I was raised to hold the door open for people. When I do that, I also ask them and tell them, hey, I hope you have a good day. Now that catches most people off guard and they kind of just, they're kind of shocked and everything else. But most of them leave with a little bit of a smile. Some just kind of ignore you and, they're stuck on their phones and they don't say anything. I was told to help somebody get something off a top shelf if they're struggling to get something off there. I was also raised to ask them if they were okay. Just like yesterday when we went through a winter storm and stuff there, I stopped. Somebody was broke down along the side of the road, so I stopped to see if he needed help. He was fine, didn't want any help. He had help on the way. I was raised to build people up and tear them down. And by this time, he had pretty much I had that kind of blank stare because he really didn't know what to say anymore at that point. And the part that shocked me the most was he looked at me, he smiled, and he said, thank you, and walked away. I still to this day don't know what bothered the guy. I have no idea why he was upset with me or why he said anything. But everybody was kind of looking at me as like, how can you handle that? And I said, it's just, we don't know what he was going through. I have no idea, what kind of bad day. Maybe he lost his job. Maybe he had a run-in with a boss. Maybe, I know it's early in the morning, but some people work overnights. He could have been a trucker. I honestly don't know. But to me, attacking him back just wasn't the answer. So, but sometimes by showing just a little bit of act of kindness and just listening is all people need. So when you're out there, and I know it's really, really hard not to fight back, to attack back and stuff there, but maybe try to find out just a little bit of what's bugging them. Maybe you can help set them on the right track. Maybe you can take a little pressure off of them so they can handle the rest of the day. Just basically just being the bigger person. I know it's not always easy and it's not always going to work, and it doesn't always work for me, but I always try to take the high road and do the best thing that I can. So I just wanted to let everybody know before we get started in this, it's going to be kind of a intense little episode. I just wanted to let you know that, always look for the good in people. I know sometimes you have to really, really look, but if anything that I've learned by going through in my 48 years and everything that I've been through is just looking for the good. You have to work at it, don't get me wrong, but then there's going to be other times where it's going to come real easy, and you'll see the benefits and you just feel better inside all the way across the board. So just remember that when you're tootling through your day. So to let you know, if you're considering surgery to help take off the weight, what I wanted to bring up on this point here is I wanted to tell you I'm not for it. I'm not against it. Just because I didn't get it doesn't mean that I'm against it by any way, shape, or form. I'm grateful for the doctors, the nurses, and everything out there, and for my friend going through it, because if she had not gone through that, I wouldn't have her here today. That's the God honest truth. We knew that she was going down a bad road. The doctor said it. She had to do it. There was no choice in the matter for her, unfortunately. I mean, I guess she had a choice. She could have said no, and then 6 months later, I would have been attending a funeral. There's not many people that are in my life that I allow really, really close. She's one of them. She knows me. She helps me through stuff. She's helped me through my own weight loss journey. She's helped me through some of the mental aspects of it there. She helps me, when I've had the muscle cramps, I've had the bone cramps, when you have the pains of going through the weight loss. She's been there every step of the way, and I've tried to be there for every step of the way for her, because she's gone through a lot of mental things. I've gone through a lot of mental things. It's just a lot. So before we lead out, I just want to remind you that I'm not pro or con of the surgery. That is completely up to you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I have nothing to do with the medical medical side of it and stuff there. Neither does my friend, but she has personal life experience going through, and that's why I wanted her as part of this episode. So this episode is probably going to get a little long, so you might want to find something to drink, grab some popcorn, and settle in. This could take a few minutes here. So just make sure you factor in everything before you make a decision on surgery. There are so many things to consider, and that's what I wanted to talk about, was the things that I considered and why I didn't go the route of the surgery. So I realized in the beginning of my weight loss journey and stuff, the mental game, which I have said over and over again, is the toughest. So I was worried about, okay, what does weight loss surgery actually entail? There's lots and lots and lots of web pages and stuff out there. Any information that I bring to the table for everybody here to consider and stuff there always comes from medical websites and stuff there. I try to stay away from anything else, because then you kind of get into the hearsay and the conjecture. So I just want to make sure that if I'm bringing something to the table, it's something that a doctor recommends. So I think we're in pretty good footing here, because they're the ones doing the surgery and everything else. So some of the there's some of the things that I found out besides the website and stuff there. I also talked to a couple of people besides my friend that had actually gone through the surgery, and I've known a total of 3 other people and stuff that have went through it. All 3 went through the surgery, lost all the weight. I mean, they lost 200, 250, some 300 pounds, and then 6 months later they start gaining it back, and within a year that basically it was all just for naught. I seen them put the weight on. You could see the depression kick back in. You could see the pain of the joints, because their bodies were, they went back to eating the way they were and stuff there. It was really, really heartbreaking to see them go through that, because they worked so hard. But I know my friend Rebecca and stuff there, she put the work in. I mean, there was a year's worth of stuff she had to do before she even got into the surgery room. It was insane what she had to go through. It was grueling. There were times I felt so sorry for her. She just felt defeated. But in the end, she pulled it off, which is incredible. And now she's down, I think, somewhere in the range of like 245 pounds. She'll tell you personally here in a few minutes when she jumps on the microphone with me. But some of the things that I had heard from those 3 people and stuff there, they told me that, like, one of the things that they wish they knew is I wasn't mentally prepared for the whole process. They said that it was never full fully explained to them, which really concerned me. So I don't know if it was a breakdown of communication between doctor and patient, or if they just didn't get all the information, or if they jumped into it too soon. Another thing that they had said was, I wish that they would have told me about the side effects that are happening, are going to happen, what I'm going through, and everything else. They said they weren't fully prepped for that either, which really kind of broke my heart, because seeing what my friend went through and stuff there, I mean, I think they did a pretty good job telling her, but of course, you can't cover all the bases. You can't think of everything. It just isn't going to happen. But it kind of broke my heart on that too. And then the last thing that all three of them said, they all started it just shortly after they basically didn't. I think they just didn't listen to the doctor, and they just went and did what they wanted to. And they said that I had wished that they had not started eating like they did before. They had all said there after a year they'd gained most of their weight back. Well, to lose that much weight and then to gain all of it back and stuff there plus more was really heartbreaking, because they went through all that. They spent all the money. They took the time. It was really sad. They all regret going down the surgery road. So basically, my whole view on that there is, basically, there's been 4 people I know that have went through everything. One person's made it, so that's a 25% rating. That's my point of view. Now, what you find online and everything there, that's up to you. I don't want to say anything. I'm not saying anything against the surgery. This is just things that I factored in before I got started. So, after hearing their testimony and everything else and what they went through, I dug in to the medical pages and stuff there, and I just wanted to see if the surgery was a good fit for me. I wanted to learn some of the positive effects, the negative effects, some of the things that they go through. And after seeing my friend go through everything, I can tell you these are these are things that they go through. So I'm glad I considered it before going down my own weight loss journey. One thing that scared me the most was, and I'm sure Rebecca is going to talk to you about this, the one that's probably the roughest one to go through was the dumping syndrome. Basically, that's where you eat, your body doesn't like it, you instantly throw everything up. And being that the surgery that she went through and stuff there, which I guess probably should tell you, is bariatric surgery. But the more exact term, if you want to really dig into it, is it's DS, otherwise known as a duodenal switch. Basically, they flip everything around in you, they shorten things up. They really, for the lack of better terms, they mess with the plumbing. I mean, they overhaul everything. So if I understand right, if I remember right, she doesn't have any stomach acid and stuff there to break things down. So she has to be very careful with what she eats, what she drinks. It's incredible, everything she goes through. So in the beginning, I know she had some trouble with the dumping syndrome and stuff there. So I stayed away, because that leads into nausea, dizziness. I seen it with her. Low blood sugar, malnutrition, vomiting can all come because of it and stuff there. Another thing that I factored in that I didn't know is you have to be at least 100 pounds above your normal body weight before you can even be considered for the surgery and stuff there. Well, needless to say, I was over 300 pounds overweight. I would have qualified, but I thought, okay, well, maybe that's it. So I continued to look. You needed a BMI, which is a body mass index, of at least 40 to be considered. If you're in a healthy range, 18.5 to 24.9 is where a healthy range of weights and everything that you fall into. That's where a lot of people fall into. I'm nowhere near that yet, but I'm getting there. So you can see it having to be a 40, it's a long ways up there. So another thing that I learned about is you're going to have to be an extremely restricted diet for the rest of your life. You have to be really careful about that stuff. One thing that they did say that you have to do, and I know my friend does a lot of, is exercise to basically help keep the weight off and everything there that you're going through. I knew that I can't do the exercise that's basically everybody else does anymore. So that kind of pushed me away a little bit, thinking, okay, that could deter me from getting to the goal that I want to, getting across the finish line. So, I factored that in and stuff there. Taking vitamins to replace the lost nutrients. I already take vitamins and stuff there, so I said, okay, well, I can do that one. Okay, that's a one. Boop, I can put that on the plus side for me going there. Being part of a weight loss group, they recommended. I think that's good, but if if you're an introvert like me and an introvert like my friend Rebecca is, just talking about yourself can be huge. Right now you're probably going, well, if you're an introvert, why are you talking to us on a podcast? Well, it's in a controlled setting. I have my notes. I'm protected. I don't have anybody around for me. I'm not standing in front of anybody or anything there. So I feel comfortable talking to you. And I figure that if you're listening to this, then you do really want to hear what I have to say. So it's a comfort zone is what it is, just like my friend and stuff there. It took some arm twisting to get her to come on to the podcast and stuff there. But I think in the end, all of you are really, really going to hear a different side. And I think it'll help you when considering the surgery and stuff there. The other one that, follow your doctor's orders, and you're always at the doctor's, lots of visits to make sure you're okay, make sure everything held, make sure something didn't break loose. Doctors and I don't have a good track record. They're wonderful, don't get me wrong, and we can't live without them, but them and I just don't have a good track record, so I try to stay away from them a little bit more, so that scared me off a little bit. So that's, basically the first things that I learned. The second thing is I wanted to make sure that, because I told you I'm not either for or against the surgery. So I wanted to make sure that I also talked about some positive effects that you can get out of the surgery and some negative effects. So some of the positive ones, which are great, I thought were awesome, you're able to move around much easier. I mean, when you drop 200 pounds, you don't realize how much that weighed you down, or, to be like me, I would always look at the chair. I wouldn't sit in lawn chairs. I wouldn't sit anything. I would find something that's super, I'd sit on the deck or I'd sit on the ground because I was so afraid of breaking something, and that's embarrassing. And it's just like, okay, I can't go down that road. So being able to move around easier, I've learned, I've been able to do that more. It's a great thing. It's fantastic. It helps. Your emotional balance and your mood typically improve because you feel better. You're either getting more rest, you look better, you can look in the mirror and you're not going, like I do constantly. It helps the mental game, and we all know we're going down the road with the mental game, so it's like, okay, anything I can do to improve that would help. Your quality of life may be better. That one there, I have to admit, I do more things than what I did before, so that's a good thing. Might be able to take fewer prescriptions, which is going to help. I know most of us are living paycheck to paycheck. We have a monthly budget we have to stick to, so if there's any place that we can cut down some bills and save some money, that was a good thing. I like that one there. Helps with the reduction of diabetes and increases your heart and cardiovascular health. I like that because diabetes runs in my family as far back as you can find it on the tree and stuff there. The family tree is riddled with it. It's riddled with heart disease, all that stuff. So to me, that was a monstrous plus to know that I would be around for my family and friends a little bit longer. May eliminate sleep apnea. I don't have sleep apnea, but I do know some people that do. So I thought, that would be a good thing. Joint pain relief. This is a huge one that I'm still going through. My joints still hurt because I'm taking the weight off, but it's not as bad as it used to be. But I still have days where they're pretty tender. And for ladies, it helps improve fertility. So if you were thinking about, you wanted to start your family or add to your family, that was all positive effects that you can get from the surgery. I thought that was fantastic. That's a lot. It's kind of like getting your life back. It's like, oh, cool. Okay, I can make this. I can do this. It was some, positive things. The things that, that I factored into, the negative effects that they come up with, and they told me, was breakage if something goes wrong with the surgery where, suture cuts, breaks loose or whatever and stuff there, then they'd have to go in and fix. Dumping syndrome, we talked about that, but I'm sure my friend will talk about that a little bit. Gallstones, when you lose a lot of weight and stuff there, you have a tendency to build up more minerals and stuff in your body, so that was one. Hernia, I've already had 2 of them, so I really wasn't interested in a third one. Internal bleeding or profuse bleeding of the surgical wound. You just had to be real careful with that. Thank God my friend did not have problems with that one there, so that was a fantastic thing. If the wounds leak, you had to watch that. Perforation of the stomach or intestines, that's one thing that, you have to be really, really careful with. My friend and I, there was times that she was worried, so we watched that real close and stuff there. protein and calorie malnutrition. You have to, there were so many things. There's more and more of a list, and I'm going to quit there because I'm trying to keep it positive. I don't want to think that I'm all against this or I'm all for it. Just remember, I'm right down the middle. I don't have a view either way. I'm just bringing the information to you so that way you guys can make the absolute best decision that you can. Now, some of these things and stuff I know will be brought up with my friend and stuff there, so she'll be bringing that up here in just a minute. But as you can tell, ultimately, I didn't have the surgery. I've already had 3 surgeries in my life. I've had 2 hernias and I've had reconstructive back surgery. So I really didn't want to go back down the road and run for a 4th time to go into the operating room to see if I can do the weight loss and stuff there. So, but there are folks out there like my friend, they needed to go down this road, and that's fantastic. You go ahead and do what's best for you. It's your body. You have to make those decisions. And I just want you to know that that's awesome. You're doing something to help your health out, to be around for your family, your friends. It's awesome. So I mean, it's a lot to weigh in. There's no doubt about it. That's why I wanted to do this episode, because it's like there is so much information on this. I mean, we could probably have 10 podcasts about this and not cover it all. It's incredible the amount of information out there. So just make sure you talk to your doctor. I know you're going to end up, if you do this, you end up going through therapy, which I think is a fantastic thing. Something that my other friends did not get. They didn't make them go down and get therapy and stuff. So they weren't mentally prepared for it. So it was like, okay, it was quite an overload for them, and I felt so bad. It was like they were getting set up to fail, and I felt bad for them. But I think the surgery is good for some folks. I honestly do. I think it's a great way to do it, help them, because there's so many things that you go through. Your body goes through so many changes and stuff there. I honestly think if it's going to help you and extend your life, I think it's a fantastic thing. So just take into account that you might have to do like a little bit of therapy and stuff there to help keep, the depression at bay. You're going to have questions while you go through all this. That's why I love having my friend on here, because she's going to be able to tell you from her point of view. She's been down this road, so maybe she can help you avoid some of the pitfalls. And she's still learning. She's only 2 years down the road. She's still learning. I know she's with other groups and stuff there that they help each other out and stuff, and I think it's amazing. And she comes and tells me I learn new things. So my whole thought about surgery and everything else has just absolutely changed. I thought it was, the easy way out. I would have bet supper on that. That's the easy way out. That's what you got to do. No problem. Go ahead and get the surgery. Weight falls off and everything. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's a huge decision. It's a lifelong commitment, literally. So you have to be really, really careful. So make sure you weigh all of that in as you start down the road and stuff there. If you consider this, talk to people that anybody that does it. And like I said, if you have questions, send them to my email address at seangmorris@gmail.com. And what I can do is I will work with Rebecca to make sure, and we'll see if we can get some answers for you. Maybe she's got some ideas to help you, or maybe there's just something you're scared about. Maybe we can figure out an answer for you. We're not professional help, but she has been down the road, so she has firsthand experience. You don't get much better than that. So with all of that being said, we're finally to the point where we're actually going to sit down. Rebecca's literally sitting right beside me. She's been listening to the whole thing and stuff there. I have quite a few questions and stuff there for her. If there's anything she wants to throw in, she's going to throw it in and stuff there to try to help you out. She'll be able to cover the ground a little bit better than I can. So she's sitting right beside me. So I'd like you to give her a very nice warm welcome and stuff there to Rebecca. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
It's amazing what you went through, and you've heard what I've said over the past half hour about what you went down, the road you went down, the mental, the physical, the stress has been incredible. You're so much stronger than I ever thought you could be, and I think you're even stronger yet for continuing to go down this road. So I just want you to know that, thank you for coming on here, and I honestly think that your information and what you have to bring to the podcast today, I think is really going to help some folks out. So just know that your struggles were not for naught.
Oh, good. I hope I could help somebody out today.
Honestly, I've had a couple people that have gotten a hold of me already, so I think you're going to be able to help them. So let's lead out with the first question. Tell us a little bit of how you were basically considering the surgery. What led up to you wanting to get the surgery? I mean, it's not like you just wake up one morning and go, oh well, guess what? I'm going to go get a surgery done. This is huge. This is life changing. This is everything. So tell us what your first beginning thoughts were. Why you wanted to get the surgery?
So I started out, I had a lot of medical problems. My whole life I've struggled with my weight. Not just mental, but physical problems. I had a lot of unresolved traumas and issues and things like that. I ate my feelings. I never met a cheesecake I didn't like. But I was sitting at work one day and I had horrible pain in my back. Went into the doctor. They found a cyst that had wrapped around my ovary cord. I had to have emergency surgery. A year later, it happened again. The second one was an emergency surgery. They found a malignant tumor in my ovary from that, and I died on the table twice during the second surgery. I stopped breathing because of my weight.
That's scary. Wow.
Yeah, that's really where it started. My doctor told me that if you don't do something, you will not make your 40th birthday. That was less than 5 years away. That was my true wake-up call. That's what initiated the start of, okay, it's serious because it's really life or death.
Yeah. And I'm glad you made the decision. It's been an interesting trip to see you go through, but I'm glad you made the decision.
Me too. There are days I'm like, okay, I don't know why I did this. And then I wake up and go, I know why I did this, because I get to wake up tomorrow and I get to hang out with my family and I get to build a life. And I wouldn't have that option if I didn't. So...
Yeah, and it's in quite a life. I mean, I've spent over 10 years now with you and stuff, and it's quite a life that you've lived. So, kudos to you. It's amazing. I mean, to go through what you've gone through is amazing. So, what were some of the steps that you needed to do prior to even being accepted for the surgery?
Prior to even being considered for the surgery, actually, every insurance company is different. Some insurance companies don't even cover the surgery, but if they do, they each set their own protocols as to what they are going to require you to do to be even them to consider paying for your surgery. For myself personally, I had 4 visits with a registered dietitian. I had 3 months of therapy. I had to have a psych evaluation. I had to lose 20 pounds prior to surgery. Once all that was completed, then they submitted it to insurance, and then insurance, I think it was, I want to say 2 months for them to consider it, because they literally went over all of my medical history. They dug through every skeleton in my history to figure out if I was a good enough candidate to do this. And I heard that when you were going over stuff, you were talking about people that aren't prepared or they don't know things. Part of that comes back from, like, when I started this process, I had 4 different doctors and a dietitian.
Wow.
So you start talking about, like, diet. Well, the actual doctor thinks the dietitian is going to talk to you about what you can and can't eat. The dietitian thinks the doctor's going to handle that because that's an after surgery thing. And it really comes down to a lack of communications with the doctors. When I started my process, I literally, no lie, had a 5-subject notebook. And each doctor had its own subsection where I took notes, where I kept all my paperwork, where I kept appointment tracking. I mean, because it is intense. It's a very intense process.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, I didn't realize you got that far into it. So I knew there were some problems with the doctors talking back and forth, but I didn't realize it went that in depth of, everything you had to track and everything you had to watch for and stuff there. Because, I mean, really, when you break it down, it's your health. I mean, that's what it is. And yeah, they're doctors and they see a lot of patients, but ultimately you're in charge of your own health and you're in charge of your own body. So yeah, it was great that you took the notes so that way you knew where to go for everything.
Correct.
So. As we've been talking about today, please describe the mental strain and tricks on your mind and what it has played on you through this entire process. And I'm assuming it is continuing to, talk to you, say, you can do this or eat that, or, it's a lot of the same things that we do, that I've always got a voice in the back of my head saying, oh, it's okay, have that cheesecake. Oh, it's okay, have that cookie. Have that extra Mountain Dew. Now, granted, I love my Mountain Dew. Everybody knows that. That's not hidden.
No, you don't hide that.
And there's always, like, okay, how much extra can I have? How can I move my calorie intake down and stuff there? But for you, it's a whole different ballgame because you're limited. So tell us a little bit about that.
I think the hardest part for me, starting with that process, was I was an emotional eater. So the minute something didn't go right in my day, that was my first, I need a cheesecake stat over here. Let's start digging into that sweets, because that's going to fix our soul. So my hardest part was like when I hit that moment of brain needs a cheesecake, I have to literally talk to myself like I'm a toddler and say, no, we don't need a cheesecake. You need to figure out why this is bothering you and fix that versus trying to fix it with a cheesecake. Because and they'll tell you this, and I am just as guilty of it. They'll tell you, you're going to try it. After surgery, you're going to tell yourself, I'm going to do that. I am not going to eat that fried food. I am not going to eat that cheesecake. You will. I did. And let me tell you, the pain and the struggle you go through, and you look at that and go, I am never doing that again. Because, it hurts so bad. And it goes back to that dumping syndrome. And when you first come out of surgery, everything gives you dumping syndrome.
Wow.
Because your body has to, especially with something that like I did, because it rerouted the way that I process food, and my body was like, wait, what are you doing? This is not right. You're hitting spots in the body where food should already have been broken down by stomach acid, and it should already be through this. And it's like, get it out. It's a foreign substance. So dumping syndrome was basically everything I ate.
Wow.
Yeah. And you just have to work with your body, and it's a day-to-day work with figuring out what you can and can't eat. And some foods, even if they're healthy foods or things that you think, I can have that after surgery, you still aren't going to eat it. If your body doesn't like it, there is no way about that.
And I'm sure it's, even though you went through the surgery and stuff there, I'm sure it's the same as anytime that anybody gets sick and you throw that thing up, you just can't eat it again.
Oatmeal.
Oatmeal.
Because when I went through my soft foods, that was literally one of the things that they said. It's easy to eat. It's easy to process. I had to do stone ground ones. And once you chunk up oatmeal out your nose, there just ain't no going back. You just done.
Yeah, no kidding. So how long was it before you had your surgery, and then you come out of it, and we're talking about the dumping syndrome. How long was it before you could even have something of solid food before they allowed you to even try it after surgery?
So I was on a liquid diet for 2 weeks after surgery. And then I bumped up to soft foods, and I was on soft foods for a month after that. So it's about 6 weeks from the start, like when you come out of surgery, to where you can start eating some of those regular foods again.
Wow. Long. I remember you going down that road and stuff there, and you struggled, but I think it's also you fought so much mentally too. It's kind of like, I can eat this. I'm feeling better. I should just be able to dive into this. And I see you, and like we do we get together on Friday nights and stuff there, and we always go out for supper. And it took us all a while to understand why you either had just the mashed potatoes or you just had just a soup or whatever. And we knew you were going through it, but then we saw the after effects of when you push too hard too fast. It was like, oh my goodness. Okay, well then we all learned, don't get rid of the temptation.
In the beginning, the thing is like when you're in that liquid diet stage for that 2 weeks, I never understood that until I went through it. You literally miss and crave chewing. Your body is just so used to, that's how your body processes and your brain processes, I'm eating. It's chewing. When you have nothing to chew, your body's like, well, you're not feeding me.
Good point. I
never understood that. And then I'm like, I just want to chew something. I just want to chew something. But you can't because of the incisions and stuff. You risk tearing them and destroying that whole thing. And then they got to go back in there and fix it. And
once was enough?
Once was enough. Yeah, because when I first came out and I was on my liquids, it was a struggle to get 10 ounces an hour down. 10 ounces.
Wow. It doesn't sound like much there, but when you've been, everything's been redone, it's like, holy smokes, that's actually a lot.
Because that's what they did. They said, and they did. They sent me home with a full sleeve of little 1 ounce cups from the hospital. And they said, you set them out at the beginning of every hour, fill them 1 ounce cups, and your goal is to get through those ounce cups by the end of the hour. And it literally was a struggle for 10 ounces of fluid. And it wasn't real food. It was protein shakes, chicken broth, apple juice, things of those nature. That was all you could have. Couldn't even do applesauce. It literally, if you couldn't put it through a little strainer, you couldn't eat it the first 2 weeks.
Holy cow. Okay. That's crazy to have to go through all that. But I've seen on this side now, seen you go through all that, and I think you're glad that you did.
Oh.
But it was, watching you go through that, it was a struggle on us and the family and everything else, because we wanted to, we felt so bad. It's like, how do we help? How do we, it's like, okay, what can we do? We just didn't have an answer, because it was like, okay, but you fared awesomely. I mean, you're still cruising right along. You're still doing everything you're supposed to. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tribute to it working.
It does work. You have to do the system, and I will be completely honest. Most of your downs happen prior to surgery, like physical downs. Your mental downs start afterwards, but you have a lot more ups on the backside of that to help balance out your downs on the opposite side of surgery. But yeah, it is definitely not a lay down on a table, get yourself cut up, and 6 months later I'm a 5'9", 90-pound supermodel. That is not what this is. And if that's what you're going in for, you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I factored in too and stuff there. You had actually started this whole process long before I started my weight loss journey. And so I factored that into, like what I was talking about in the beginning there, of all the things that, okay, what do I need to figure out? What, do I really want to go through this? And that I was watching you go through all that, and it was one of those, I honestly didn't think I had the strength to do what you have done. I mean, it's incredible for how far you've come, what you've went through. It's incredible. So, it's something to very, pat yourself on the back for. So, but tell us a little bit, how did the actual surgery go? Was there any complications? Did you fly through with flying colors, or?
I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't have my surgery here in Rapid City. I actually had mine in Sioux Falls, and my doctor was fabulous in Sioux Falls. I think the hospital was just, they call it a Blue Center of Excellence, and my insurance actually required that, and I got lucky. It was a very, I don't want to say easy surgery, because no surgery is easy, but compared to the surgery where I almost died and I couldn't move my body for 3 weeks, this one kind of was a cakewalk. Comparative to my other one that I had with my 2 other emergency surgeries, this one was easier. I mean, it was still a recovery, and you still had all the other traumas, but physically and pain-wise, and like, I had never had it before, but the doctors in Sioux Falls didn't do pain meds. They did nerve blockers.
Oh, okay, that's new.
So they didn't create the addiction epidemic with like painkillers and stuff. And actually, it was way better especially for myself, because part of the surgery, you had to get up and walk every hour. That was part of the requirements of after you come home, is you had to walk every hour.
Wow.
Yes. So trying to do that doped up on whatever oxycodone they sent you home on wasn't going to happen. Whereas when they put you on the nerve blockers, you didn't feel the pain, but you weren't like groggy laying on the couch dying. So it really was a really good balance, and I'm really glad that was the decision that they did versus the pain medication. It was still a pain medication, because I didn't feel... I think you actually seen my bruises.
Yep.
I had some wicked bruises.
Oh, you look like you got beat up.
Oh,
really
yeah.
Bad. It was like, holy smokes.
Yeah, it looked like I met some really bad dudes in the back of a bar. But I didn't really feel that because of those nerve blockers.
Which is great, because it helped you get through it.
Correct.
Because I mean, you really were. They went inside and they were doing all kinds of things. They were messing with things. That's going to be a lot of pain as your body's going, oh, what happened here?
Correct.
It was incredible. So what are some of the foods you actually are allowed to eat? Like, I know you're limited on some spices and stuff there, because you have to be very, very careful on things there as you're doing it there, but which we can cover that in the next question, which you're not allowed to eat. So whatever one you want to work with first there, tell us, so that way the folks out there hear, okay, this is what this is kind of what you're looking at here for eating and what you're not eating, so that way they can weigh both sides of the scale.
So as far as like foods that can and can't eat, I think everybody's a little bit different. I used to handle spice like, I could do medium salsas and stuff. I can't now. Some other people will still eat hot salsa. Everybody is different. and how they come out of that backslide is totally different. Mashed potatoes were my best friend. I loved me some mashed potatoes.
I can attest to that, by the way.
Because they were bland. They had no flavor, and you did not have to chew them. But like I said, everybody is different, and eggs was one the doctor's like, oh, you can eat eggs. They're easy to chew. There's not a lot of chewing. They're soft. My body hated eggs. I could not eat eggs for a year.
Yeah, I check out at that point.
Oh, it was so bad. And even when I started, I would try them and I'd eat them, and my body would like, nope, we're not having that. And there they came. They made a grand entrance. But I love eggs. Like, I love eggs. So I'd try it again another 3 or 4 months down the road, and there they'd come again. And then one day, tried it again, and I was fine. I can eat them now, and let me tell you, me and the chicken out back, we're buddies.
Yeah, I've seen you polish them off. But it's nice to be able to get something that you do like after everything that you've changed and given up for, to actually get something back that you love. I mean, that helps out to stay the course of what you need to do. It's kind of like same thing I do is, I knew, what I talked about in one of my other podcasts, I just knew I was, and I think it's the next one coming up, is I knew there were some things I wasn't going to give up. So I have to work around that through my weight loss journey, and same way you do and stuff.
Yeah.
You just keep trying, you keep working with things to finding out where your balance is, and and we're all learning with you and stuff, trying to make sure that we don't make something that you can't have, or there's just, it's amazing the amount of things you have to factor in that I had no idea you had to factor in.
I didn't either. There was things that I didn't think about when I started this journey. I didn't think about I would never be able to eat eggs again, or like, I didn't drink a lot of soda even before the surgery, but sometimes it was nice to sit down and drink a Mountain Dew with you and be like, yeah, let's toast our Mountain Dew for the afternoon, and you don't get it anymore.
No, that's
Carbonated drinks are no longer your friend. So
yeah, don't worry, I make up for it.
Oh, so. Thank you. If you drink an extra one a day for me, that'd be great.
Just for you. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yep, this is for Rebecca. Here we go. So, that's the way I rationalize it. Doesn't always work that way, but I sure try.
I'll take it.
What are some of the side effects that you encountered along the way that might be able to help some folks out?
I think dumping was the hardest one.
I can see why.
Yeah. I got lucky when my surgeon did my surgery. He made it a point to take my gallbladder because a lot of people after this surgery, like you had mentioned, they have gallstones. And that is due to before surgery, you go on a protein liquid diet. Some people only require a few days. Some people require a few weeks. I think I was 6 weeks.
Yeah, you were on it for a long time.
Yeah, I was on it for like 6 weeks prior to surgery. And that's because my liver was so fatty.
Okay, gotcha.
And then they told me that if I didn't get my liver down, they wouldn't be able to do all of the surgery at one shot. I'd have to do part of it, and then another 18 months I'd have to go back and complete it. And I wasn't doing that twice.
No.
So I was pretty adamant about sticking on that protein, but he said part of that is going to be take the gallbladder, because all of that protein doesn't process through your gallbladder. And that's what creates those stones. So he's just like, we're just going to wipe that problem right off the board, and he took the gallbladder at the same time.
Which I'm glad he did. You got multiple things fixed all at the same time, which helped you out. And honestly, I think it helps in your healing process, helped with the mental process. Everything, knowing that, oh man, I'm going to have to do this all over again. I'm going to have to drive 6 hours one way and stuff there to go through this again, spend the night or two. So I think it helps speed up your recovery through all that.
And I don't know that, I think that a lot of issues would have been had I, at that point where I was struggling with eating and struggling with finding foods I could eat, I don't know that I would have went back and finished it. Because you're at such a low point of, you can't eat things, you can't drink things, you can't, because even when you come out of that, it is still such a mental minefield that you're struggling fixing your brain and fixing your mind, and it's a reprogramming of your brain. Because, like I said, I wanted a cheesecake. I've never found a cheesecake I didn't like. So trying to, talk yourself out of that, and then it's that moment of, okay, I got to fix, and I don't know that I'd have gone back. So I'm really glad it was all one shot. I think that was my motivator to stick to my 6 week of protein shakes and my little piece of chicken once a day.
get it all done at once, and you know, if you're going to do it, go all in. And that's one thing that I admire the most about you is you knew this is what you had to do, and you have not deviated from it. I don't think you've ever deviated once from it. You've stayed the course. It's been amazing.
Oh, I've had my once, because I've tried cake or ice cream at a birthday party, and ooh. And then I remember that's why I don't eat that.
Yeah, well, it kind of took care of that craving, I'm sure.
Yep. Like I said, you junk it up through a nose, it's kind of over.
Yeah, that I can believe.
Yeah.
Has exercise played a role in your post-surgery life?
Yes. 5 to 6 nights a week, actually, I end up working out. I do 2 nights of cardio, I do 2 nights of weightlifting, and 2 nights of just low impact, stretching, yogas, just something fun to throw in there. But I try 5 or 6 nights a week I work out.
Wow. That's impressive. I mean, and before, because I know that, like me, if I tried exercising, before I lost my weight, I could walk from one side of the house to the other, and I was winded, done, finished. And, I feel better, like I can do more now. So I'm assuming it's kind of along your way, since you've been losing so much weight. Because, how much have you actually lost? All together so far?
I am literally 1 pound shy of 250 pounds.
That's incredible. That is so incredible.
That 1 pound is hanging on. I'm like, come on, buddy, just go. No, but yeah.
That's like a whole nother person.
It literally
even
is.
More.
It literally is. Like, I pick up a bag of dog food, like when I go grocery shopping, and I throw it over my shoulder, and I'm like, oh, this is heavy. But when you stop and think about it, it's like, that's only 50 pounds. I used to carry
4 times that
exactly
amount.
It's like, how did
almost 5
exactly how did I make it through that,
Yeah. But then that's one thing I learned too, and I think you're kind of hitting on here too, is you realize all of a sudden why your back hurt, why your joints hurt, why it seemed like, okay, I just need to sit down for a minute because this just isn't working.
Correct.
I noticed the same thing by replacing one of the Culligan water bottles or 5-gallon buckets, bottles that you replace. They're like 42 pounds. And it's like, when I pick one up, it's like, yeah, I had the same thing. It's like, how did I do this?
Yes.
It's really weird. And I honestly didn't think I'd ever see it that way. But hearing you say it, and then knowing that's what I felt, is like, holy cow, this is crazy. It's like, okay, I don't know what to think anymore. My mind's blown.
And me, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have looked at myself, someone who worked out 5 days a week. I'd be like, girl, get back on that couch and eat them cheesecakes, We'll dip it with some chips and call it a day. But no. Like when I first started after surgery, swimming was my best friend, because I still had so much to go, and I was in so much pain with my joints. The water was a great source for low impact, and I was able to move, and that's really what got me down to the point now that I don't do a whole lot of the water. And part of that is because the weather is so cold and I don't like leaving the gym wet. Maybe summertime I'll hit back at that again, but right now I just do that other stuff, but I'm able to do that now because I use the water as a benefit. I would go swim laps, I would walk in, they call it the lap pool, where you had water resistance. It was great. But yeah, no, exercise. I can't believe I'm about to say this because, girl, I would have never said this before.
I'm so glad I'm sitting down for this one.
Because I get a high off of exercising. I never in my life have said those words, but I say them now all the time. I get done working out and I'm like, dude, I feel pretty good. I could do that again.
I'm sorry. I've known you over a decade. Who are you?
Exactly. I never, ever thought that I would say those words, but I do. I work out half hour and I'm like, okay, that felt pretty good. Let's do another half hour. Or no, I get a high off of it. And I'm like, I'm ready to do that again.
Well, it shows. You look phenomenal. You don't even look like the same person when I met you. The changes have been just paramount. I honestly think your mental, is much stronger. I think, you're physically, you're much stronger. You're just emotionally stronger. It's incredible to see the changes that you've went through. And honestly, I'm glad I was along for the ride because you inspired me to start mine. And I didn't do the surgery, but you still inspired me to get off my tuchus, off my chair, and get your butt moving. You got to do this, because it's like, okay, you can do this. I just had to come up with the mental strength to get through it, because like you say, you keep leaning back to it's a mental game, and that's what I've talked about in all my podcasts. Is the mental is the toughest part. It's like it just every chance you get, there's that little voice in the back of your head that's saying, rah, 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 you can do this, you can have this, it's just a little bit, you know, it's just a couple calories, and it's like it's unrelenting. It just will not go away no matter what you do. But I've found different things, like we play cards, or you go for a drive, or you sit out on the deck and talk. You find different ways of distracting yourself so you don't hear that voice for a while, which gives you the strength to keep pushing on. I think so.
It does for me too. And I honestly wouldn't have made it through even any of it without like you guys. There were times I was just like, I'm done. I can't do this. I can't even get to the surgery, let alone through it. And I was just done. Nope, done. And I remember somebody saying, you can do this. You're a lot stronger than you think you are. And some days I wondered. But
that's why you have a good support structure.
You have to have that.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's a lot harder if you don't.
Yeah, I could imagine. My mind is set for my own weight loss journey. Irregardless, I'm doing it, but it does make it easier when you have a bad day or whatever it is to talk to somebody to help you through the rough points and different things and stuff there. And that's what we wanted to do with you. We wanted to make sure that we were there every step of the way to make sure that, okay, you're deviating a little bit, so let us help you keep you on that track. And it's been an interesting journey so far, and I know we're not done yet. I'm not done with mine yet.
This will never be done. It's an everyday, like you said, it's a lifestyle change. It is not a diet, and you can't think of it as a diet. It's a lifestyle change. And when they say change, they aren't kidding, because everything changes.
Yeah, it's a whole new you. I mean, you're rewriting the book. Rebecca has a brand new playlist. Rebecca has a brand new everything. That's basically what you've had to do.
Correct.
Through this whole process. And I can understand that. It's interesting. So, what kind of vitamins do you take to maintain your healthier lifestyle now? Do you have to take more or less?
A lot more. So the way my doctor explained it to me as far as what they did for my surgery, because I told him, I said, I need you to dumb this down, because that duodenal switch doesn't mean anything to me. He said, think of it as you've got neighbor Billy Joe Bob down the road here, then the river crosses through his farm, and all he does is throw junk in it. So every time you get water on your property and there's garbage and all this other crap, what they've done is gone upstream to your other part of your property and bypass the stream past Billy Bob, so you get clean water.
I like that analogy. That's nice.
That's exactly how my doctor dumbed it down for me. So basically, they bypassed a whole bunch of my system, which doesn't allow my body to absorb all the toxic stuff and all the things that you shouldn't be eating, and you basically get less nutrients from your food, which, like you said, you have to pick up from the vitamins. So the vitamins I have increased. I take quite a bit, and part of that is the bariatric vitamins are very expensive, especially for like the duodenal switch. And I was given the okay to, as long as I'm supplementing and taking the amounts that would have gone in the bariatric ones, I can get them any way I want to get them. And that's the other trick that they taught me, was sugar fixes. When you need a sugar fix, think about your, how long are you until you need to take a vitamin? Because your bariatric vitamins are sweet. I have no idea how that is, because you think they wouldn't be.
No, not at all.
But like you get it like, I need a sugar fix. You think, you know what? I got to take a vitamin here, because you have to space them out throughout your day, especially when you first start. And they suggest that you take chew vitamins. So when you're spacing them throughout the day, it fills that need to chew. It fills the need of sugar, because it really is a sweet little treat, and they weren't kidding.
Wow.
But no, vitamins are going to play a huge role, and you better just start used to taking them, because whether you use something different, whether you use the bariatrics, you're going to be taking vitamins, because otherwise you don't have enough to keep your brain going. You don't have enough to keep your body going. Part of that is I lose my hair. As you very well know, chunks at a time. My hair leaves.
Oh, yeah.
Chunks and chunks and chunks.
My vacuum cleaner can attest to it.
Yes, it can. I lose more hair than my husky, I think. But that is, you just get used to it. Like how you're going to, I mean, it was a struggle before surgery. It's a struggle after surgery. It's which one are you willing to struggle for?
How bad do you want it?
Correct.
Kind of like what we've talked about too and stuff there is how committed are you to your weight loss journey?
Correct.
You know, how bad do you want to get across that finish line? And yeah, there's up and downs, there's bad days. I mean, you have to know that going in, but there's so many more good days. You know, I mean, it's worth it. It's worth the struggle. It's worth everything about it.
It really is.
But some days you do question it, but that's why you have a good support structure. And, you know, that's what I'm hoping the podcast will do is give everybody out there and stuff there a little bit more of a boost and a little bit of oomph there to try to make it through this and through their weight loss journey and their day and everything else.
Oh, so. I love listening to this. I'm a little bit upset it's only once a week. I'm putting in a request to do more than once a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If I could talk to management about that would be great.
Yeah, they're not in right now. You want to stop back tomorrow, maybe? Oh, they don't show up on Sundays. That's the only day they take requests. So.
Oh, and they're not here on Sundays. Oh, I just missed them.
You did.
Dang it.
Are you able basically to take medicines like normal after surgery? So I mean, we all take like aspirins, and you know, you have like Pepto-Bismol and different things that you can take there. But are you limited?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured.
You were very limited because of this surgery. That I don't have a stomach acid. I can't break down eccentric coated pills. Anything coated. Ibuprofen, I have to put on every one of my medical records. I have a severe allergy to ibuprofen because my body will not handle it. That's what they tell you is anything ibuprofen based, don't go anywhere near. I can't take Pepto. I can't take Pepcid. I have the list at home, and it's literally longer than the foods I can't eat.
Wow.
But you just find pills that work. You take find foods that you can, or pills you can take. So instead of Pepto, I take Imodium. You just learn to find things and make it work. But yes, there are things you can't eat. And like I had a really bad infection. I had my back problem.
Right.
And they put me on a nerve blocker, and I was popping pills left and right, and they were not helping because I bulged a disc. And they put me on a nerve blocker that I was supposed to step up to, and I took a whole pill. I literally was taking the pills, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And the doctor kept saying, well, add an extra pill on every turn. Add an extra pill. I was taking like 16 of those things a day, and he's like, come to find out, I figured it out. And actually, it was you that triggered it in my brain. They were EC coated. They were a coated pill, and my body wasn't breaking down that coating to get the pills.
And through it went.
Right through it went, and I never got any of it.
Yeah, I remember that there. When we stumbled across that, it was like, holy smokes, okay.
Yeah, because I was in so much pain, and there was nothing. And it wasn't until you and I were talking, and you're like, and you had mentioned it, and then it triggered in my brain, that is exactly what's going on. So I started popping them apart and mixing them in like low-fat yogurts and the things that I could eat. And then, imagine, they worked then.
You got to the good part.
Yeah.
Is there any places that you personally go, or somebody else might be able to go for support to help you through this entire process? I mean, yes, you have your family, yes, you have your friends and stuff there, but there's still, we haven't gone through that. So is there good places to go that for folks that have gone through it so you can help each other?
So like you, the introvert thing was a huge thing, and that was part of what my doctor had said. I had to have a support group, and I had to have people who had gone through this and, work off of each other. And I was like, I am not sitting in some cold room 3 nights a week talking to somebody else about my stuff. And she said, go online. There are several groups on Facebook that are specifically designated to bariatric surgeries, before surgery, after surgery, support groups. And I'm still in my pre one, and I joined my post one, because a lot of people that are pre-surgery will comment and reach out to people that are after surgery, because they want to know what the struggles were. They want to know what we went through. They want to know that there's life on the other side, and it's not as terrifying as it looks.
Yeah, and it's understandable. I mean, you're going through a major overhaul. I would be terrified too. I mean,
Exactly.
I'll be honest. That's one thing that I factored into for all this before I decided that, okay, do I really want to go down this road or not? And that was one of the things. Is like, I've been through surgery 3 times. It's like, do I want to try a 4th one? So I decided to go the route that I'm going to lose the weight.
Kicking butt, by the way.
Well, we're trying.
Oh no, you're kicking butt.
I've lost a lot of weight and stuff there, but that all comes back to, you helping out and, we're each other's,
balance back and forth.
Pretty much, yeah. When one person has a down day, the other person pulls the other one up and stuff there, so it always helps. So, is there anything else that you would want to convey to the folks out there and stuff there? Something that I haven't covered that you think that they should know about there, either considering this or after?
I think my biggest one would be open to change, be open to learning who you are as a person, be open to knowing that life is not going to be the same after surgery, that it's not an instant fix, and you need to have a good support system to succeed. And you have to go with the mindset that you cannot keep going the way that you're going if you want to change the way your body is. I think those would be the biggest ones. Oh, and be very prepared to be cold. I think that's my big one.
I was wondering when that was going to come up.
That is probably one of my hardest ones. I am cold all the time. I was never an issue before. I can come in wearing 5 layers of clothes and I'm still cold.
Oh, yeah. I get the heating pad out for you once in a while, so there just to try to get some heat into you.
Yep. I do not retain it and I do not make it. That's my other one. That's my go-to. Get used to buying warm clothes.
Well, most people don't mind going clothes shopping, so I guess that's there's another plus.
Oh, there is another plus for the logo. Yeah,
me, I don't, but I know there's a lot of people that do. So, well, I want to say thank you for coming in and talking. I'd like to think there's going to be a lot of people that really find this helpful.
I hope so.
You're a heck of an inspiration to a lot of people. I mean, you inspired me to get going. So. The changes you've done, everything you've went through and stuff there, you've already started changing people's minds. Like I said, I've had a couple people ask, so I'm hoping this podcast will help them and they'll get some useful information out of this. Like I said, I'm not pro or con on it. You're pro, obviously, because it helped you. And I'm glad it did. I'm grateful for all the doctors over in the Sioux Falls Hospital and stuff there. They were phenomenal to help you through all this sort of stuff. I know they treated you pretty well. So, I mean, good things all the way around happen. So thank you for coming in. If anybody gets a hold of me and stuff there, if it's okay, I'll probably run it past you and stuff to see if you want to answer, see if we can help some folks out there,
course.
Or anybody that because it's a huge decision. So I just want to make sure they, it's just one more avenue for them to try to get some information. And you folks out there and stuff there, if you do, remember, you can send it to my Gmail account and stuff. You can shoot us an email and stuff, and we'll do everything we can to answer them. Remember, it's Sean G. Morse, that's SeanGMorsse @gmail.com. You can find the information on the Facebook page too as well. So there's all kinds of avenues for finding the information there. Thank you, Rebecca, for stopping in. I appreciate you stopping by. So all together and stuff there, hopefully there's some information in this podcast there that you will find helpful. I'd like to say thank you very much for joining, as you always do and stuff there. My production manager, aka my son Alex, is always asking me to say something to the fact that no matter what platform you're listening to us on there and stuff there, please hit like, please hit share, comment, follow, whatever the technical term is. I'll be honest, I am not, and Rebecca will attest to this, I am not the best when it comes to technology with all the Facebook and stuff there.
Nope.
So whatever you do, because that helps move us up in the algorithms, that helps us get noticed, and basically we're trying to help everybody that we can. So the more that you comment and like and all that stuff there, that's just going to help people out. So
do you know what you're good at, though?
Oh my goodness, what?
Dad jokes.
Oh, I am.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Oh,
look what's on my screen.
Oh, look at dad joke.
So we're going to close out today. I just want to say thank you for listening in. Thank you for Rebecca for being here and stuff here. And as always, I always end up with my dad joke of the day. It's always a groaner, so get ready for this one here. So here we go. What does a lemon say when it answers the phone? Yellow. Oh, it's horrible. I know. Yeah, quit looking at me that way.
Lord.
I knew it was going to get a groaner. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Remember, you got this. I believe in you. Rebecca believes in you. We're all here. If we can help support you in any way, please let us know there. But remember, when all's said and done, you got this, and don't let anybody take away from your positive gains. All my love and support.